Hey y'all, by the time you see this video, it should be officially Black History Month. And I felt like it would be a really good time to tell you all what my favorite foundation is, because I'll give you a hint, it's Black owned. So a couple of years ago, I think it was 2021. All the 2020s are running together for me at this point. But I think it was September of 2021. I did a series on this channel called Black Owned at Sephora. And basically, at that time, Sephora did a big rollout of Black owned brands in keeping with their commitment to the 15% pledge. If you're not familiar with the 15% pledge, basically, the United States population is roughly 15% Black, but you don't see that represented in many spaces, the beauty industry being one of them. And Sephora, amongst other retailers, are committing to making sure that their shelves adequately represent the diversity of the population that they serve. So at that time, there were a few new makeup brands. Fashion Fair relaunched. Danessa Myricks had a big launch. But there was another brand that actually debuted at that time, and that was LYS Beauty. And y'all, I started with the Triple Fix foundation, and I had just bought one of their blushes to try. And I have to say, after being a Makeup Forever girl to my heart for probably about a decade, I now have a new favorite. And I did review this foundation and do like the natural light test and all that for you guys if you want to go back and see more background about the company. But I have since purchased their full suite of Complexion products, and I want to play with them today with you guys. And I've been using these products. I reach for them often, so I do know how they work. I know how they feel, and I'll kind of share my thoughts as I go. But this is going to be kind of a more relaxed demo talk through chit chat today. So I'm getting ready to go on a day date with my husband, and just let's get ready together. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get ready. Okay, hopefully you can see me a little bit better. I am going to start off with the LYS Secure Skin Gripping Serum and Primer. It has 5% niacinamide and AHA. So this primer is one of my favorites. I'm gonna put a little bit, like a drop of it in my hand. It's clear, it's very lightweight, and it does say it's a gripping serum primer. I have to say that that is an extremely appropriate description of this product. I'll add just a little bit more. It is very much serum-like in its feel. As a matter of fact, the bottle says that you can use it by itself. You don't have to necessarily put anything on top of it, but it is like a serum. I don't know if you can see it, but it instantly gave my skin more of a glow, made it look a little bit more plump, and it does have, once you put it on, a grippy type feel. It's not sticky, but it does have a grippy texture that makes it very nice for applying foundation on top of. Which, speaking of that, I'm going to follow up with a couple drops of my Triple Fix Serum Foundation with hyaluronic acid, turmeric, and ashwagandha. So, my favorite foundation. It is lightweight, but it covers so beautifully. It is comfortable to wear. I have it in the shade DN5. It is the winter time, so I'm a little bit more pale than when I first purchased this foundation, but it seems to level and adjust just fine for this time of year. And I'm not gonna do too much. If I recall, this foundation is buildable in terms of coverage, so I'm just gonna blend that out. If you missed the first video, I was talking about this company and the fact that it's the first Black-owned brand to be certified clean at Sephora. I know there's since been a lot of controversy about clean beauty and that whole movement of sorts, because there's not a lot of regulation to say what exactly is clean and what's not and all that good stuff. But they are certified clean at Sephora. They also are cruelty free and vegan. So if those are things, values that you are interested in your products, then this is a foundation definitely worth, this brand is worth looking at. Now, lately I have been test driving some techniques to color correct under my eyes. I recently sat in on a Danessa Myrick's beauty masterclass, mind blown. And I've been trying to apply those techniques, but I did not correct under my eyes today because I want y'all to get a true sense of how these products look when applied on their own. So speaking of under eyes, I got my foundation on, and as you can see, it's kind of a glowy satin finish. You can even see it on the back of my hand, that it's not matte, it's not like a greasy dew, it's just like a gentle glow, and it reads really, really well in natural light. So I'll let you guys see that once I'm done. All right, I am going to follow up with the Triple Fix Full Coverage Brightening Concealer, and this I got in the shade DG6. I will be honest, I had a really hard time kind of deciphering what shade to get. Thankfully, Sephora has started stocking select shades in their stores if you need to go and test, because for whatever reason, my actual foundation shade didn't quite jive in the concealer, which their shades are 1-to-1 in terms of what's available. So I don't know, but I ended up going with basically Deep Golden 6. And I'm gonna take that and just hit the inner and outer. This foundation, not foundation, this concealer is kind of along the lines of that serum-y feel that the rest of the product line has. It's not cakey, it's not thick, or, you know, uncomfortable to apply and wear. And I'm just gonna pat that in. Hopefully you guys can see that well, and hopefully I'm still in the frame. But yeah, so I just want a little bit of coverage. I'm not a person that likes to do the whole heavy, bright, poof, Ben Nye. Y'all remember Ben Nye? Completely yellow under my eyes type look. I do like it to look kind of natural, so as not to like draw tons of attention to that area or have a lot of flashback in photos. So this is just subtle enough, I feel, to give me a lift in that area and to give some coverage to my dark circles. And as you can see, you don't have a lot of darkness following that. Okay, so next up is the LYS No Limits contour stick. This one has been so popular that it was hard to come by for a while. Like, it would come back in stock and then it would immediately sell out, and then it would come back in stock and sell out again. So here it is. It comes in this triangular shape applicator, which, to be honest, is the only thing I'm not crazy about in this contour stick, and I'll show you why here in a second. So I am just gonna add a little bit to my forehead. It's real smooth. It does melt on contact with the skin. I don't have to fight with it at all. It kind of has the consistency of wet chocolate. That should be a shade name for something. Wet chocolate. And just a little bit around here. Now, when I say that I'm not crazy about the shape of this stick, it may not be the shape, but more so the size. My features are kind of small. Like, they're not super prominent. So I kind of have a hard time maneuvering it around my nose and some of those smaller places in my face. So I just have to be like really, really careful when I use it. But otherwise, once you kind of know that you gotta be careful, it's not so bad. So I'm gonna first blend with this contour brush just a little bit. Just to kind of move the product around. And then I promise it's not gonna be that prominent once I'm done. I am going to go in with a powder brush to kind of soften up my edges a little bit, to kind of buff away some of that. Okay, so now that I have my foundation and concealer and contour done, I want to start adding a little bit of warmth back to my face. When LYS first launched, they launched with a line of blushes, and then they've continued to add colors, one of them being Epic in their higher standard satin matte blush. And y'all know that my favorite blushes to use are in that coral type family, or even terracotta. I just feel like it gives such a natural flush to the skin. These blushes have actually gotten a lot of mixed reviews, but I personally have had a good experience with them. I feel like when it comes to blush, you either like powder or you like cream. I personally like both for different applications, but I feel like some people like one or the other. So if there are a powder blush person, they'll try a cream blush and be like, man, this isn't for me. But If you like cream blushes, that might be the ticket for you. And if you are a brown girl who is looking for a nice coral orange blush, you know that this is a shade where one does exist. And I actually like to do kind of a more is more with blush when I first put it on, because I do feel like most blushes kind of die down during the day, and I'm gonna try to blend that down kind of into my contour so it doesn't look like, oh, I contoured and then there's a break and then, oh, I put on blush. So, okay. Then I will follow that up with their powder, which is the Triple Fix Translucent Setting Powder. I want to say this comes in 5 shades, maybe 6. And I am using Ambition, which is medium tan. And I'm going to take my big fluffy dome brush and just kind of pat that in. And it's immediately knocking the shine off without taking the dimension, I feel, out of my face. And then last but not least, from LYS, I am going to use their pressed highlighter powder. This one I want to comes in 3 shades. There's also a liquid iteration of these if you're a liquid highlighter person. But I chose to buy this in Fearless, which is their warm bronze. And since I'm at home, I'll use my fan brush. If I'm traveling, I'll usually just grab this guy and call it a day. But here's what it looks like inside the packaging. And just grab a little of that. I'm also test driving a new lens, so I'm very interested to see how this is gonna actually look once I edit. Hopefully it's letting enough light in for you guys to really see what's happening. All right, so that would be a complete complexion look from LYS. I'm gonna do my eyebrows right quick. I am gonna use another black owned brand, Uma by Sharon C. But I'm getting to the place where I don't know, y'all. I don't know whether I'm just tired or my priorities are changing. Sometimes I do eyeshadow, sometimes I don't. I'm just really more invested at this stage of my life in making sure my complexion looks good. Like, I used to do lots and lots of interesting fancy eyeshadows and stuff, and I will say, when I was first getting into makeup probably 10 or 15 years ago, eyeshadow was more interesting. I feel like industry-wise, eyeshadow was more innovative. Companies had more really cool ideas and more really cool concepts. Now it just seems like brands, certain ones in particular that I won't name right now, they just crank out new eyeshadows every week for the sake of saying, oh, we have something new out. And it's just like, whatever. And so, you know, I buy palettes every now and then. I love singles. Feel like I get a better bang for my buck that way versus having palettes that I use one shade and forget about the other 10 or 12. But anyway, I will probably just do eyeliner and mascara and call it a day. And if I really wanted to, I could take some of my blush and apply it to my eyelids. That's an easy way to do a monochrome, but I will do eyeliner though. And of course, what would a warm, toasty makeup look be without a warm red? I am going to use the Maybelline, what was this? Super Stay Matte Ink in Pioneer today. Or am I? I want a warmer red. I am actually going to use the NARS Power Matte Velvet Matte Lip Pencil in Cruella today. So this is kind of my daytime look featuring LYS Cosmetics. I am going to do my natural light test and then I will come back and just kind of give y'all my final verdict. So overall, you guys, I really love LYS as a brand, both most of the individual products as well as how they work in concert with each other. I really enjoy my Serum foundation. I love the finish. I love the feel of the wear. I like how it settles. If you've watched previous foundation reviews I've done, I usually do an 8-hour wear test, which I did in the first video. And there's something about how makeup looks when you first put it on versus how it looks as the day goes on. Like, it may look great at first and then it looks terrible. Or conversely, I have a lot of foundations in my collection that look meh when you first put them on, but they get better with time. I feel like this is one of them. I love the foundation. I love the primer, both the serum aspect and the grip in terms of holding things on. I have nothing but good things to say about the concealer. The contour stick, one thing I wanted to mention about it, I talked about the size of the stick and maneuvering it in the smaller crevices of the face. For whatever reason, I feel like I had to get the darkest shade or close to the darkest shade to kind of get the warmth that I wanted out of it. That's probably a matter of personal preference. Some people like a more subtle contour, so they'll use, instead of maybe 2 or 3 shades darker than their skin tone, they might just go the 1 shade deeper. So just be advised, if you order this and it's not quite what you want it to be, you may have to go up a shade. So I ended up getting Strength. I can't remember whether I mentioned that. So there's that, as well as the blush products I really enjoy, as well as the powders. I really love this highlighter. You can tell it was made with brown skin or people of color skin in mind, just because some highlighters just end up looking like aluminum foil on brown skin. This isn't one of them. Same thing with the powder. So overall, I give the LYS Beauty brand a high and mighty. Also, one other thing to mention, this entire line is extremely affordable. I don't think any of their products are more than $25. I feel like I got this foundation for 22 and everything else was like 20, 19, 16 bucks. That's on par these days with what some drugstore brands are trying to sell their products for. So to be able to get this kind of quality, a prestige brand at a very reasonable price, my hat's off. I look forward to seeing what else they come out with. I kind of appreciate that they stuck with the complexion lane instead of trying to do a whole lot at once. Because as I always say, if your complexion part of your makeup is a miss, the whole look will be a miss, even if your color is great. So I love that they kind of chose that arena and leaned into it, and they've been building from there. So you guys, let me know what you all think of LYS Beauty. Have you tried it? Is it something that you're interested in doing? And I will see you all at some point for the next one. Bye-bye.